Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Tyler from That Worship Sound, and today we're doing like a walkthrough, getting started, deep dive kind of into what is Producer Essentials Standard, all right? And kind of the stuff I'm talking about applies to the light version as well and other versions that might come out in the future, just with slightly different files, right? So here, I downloaded Producer Essentials Standard, I unzipped the folder, and I'm looking at the contents now. If your folder doesn't look like mine, that's perfectly okay. You can just go to your account and download it again. And of course, we might make, updates and add or take away things in the future. So it might not quite look like this, but you get the idea, all right? So before we get into these Logic files, I'm gonna jump over here to Safari. Here's the product page. The key thing to remember is that this requires Logic Pro 10.7.5. Just because of the plugins and things used, the features aren't available in older versions of Logic, so make sure you're running this. Today in my video, I'm going to be on 10.8.1, which I think is the current version. All right, so yeah, you've seen this page before. I'll go ahead and close this. All right, so the first thing in here is a folder that says one shots. These are a collection of some of our instruments that we used in the template that are sampled in WAV format, and you can put them into any sampler. Like I said, for example, if you're in Windows, you could throw it into Ableton, Contact, other stuff like that. If you use stuff like Studio One or Pro Tools, things that have samplers in them, you can basically recreate our patches using that. On our support page, which is support.thatworshipsound.com, if you go to search and type in samples, we kind of have a video here that shows how to create a sampler instrument in Logic using those files. So that kind of gives you an idea of, if you want to look at the video, it shows kind of how you would create a sampler instrument using the samples and kind of apply that to whatever VST or plugin you're using. Anyway, down here we have Producer Essential Standard patches. These patches are if you want to, just pull up these sounds in other sessions, not necessarily the Producer Essentials session. I'm talking so fast right now. All right, so I'll come back to the patches. Then down here we have a samples folder. These are two custom instruments we have, and the samples for them are in here. All right, to install the Producer Essentials Standard patches and samples, we'll have to put them into the correct location on the computer so that Logic can access them from the app itself. So I'm going to click on Go, and we'll go to Home. All right, now that we're in Home folder, let's click on Music. Once we're in Music, we'll go to Audio Music Apps. If you don't see this folder, which you should though, but if you happen to not see it, just create a folder with this exact name. Now that we're in here, the folders we need are samples and patches. So for samples, I'm gonna grab this and drop it right in there. For patches, let's go into it, and instrument is where we wanna go. So I'm gonna grab these bad boys and drop them into instrument. All right, that's all we had to do for that. If you have Logic open like I do, make sure you open the library and click on the refresh icon on the bottom left to get those patches shown. Alrighty, so for the Logic sessions, we have three different sessions. We have the blank session, we have the mix session, and we have the master session. All right, so the blank session is kind of like the starting point for any producer. Like, man, I'm ready to create. I got all these sounds loaded up and I'm ready to go. I've actually used this session for creating as well as playing things live, although I prefer main stage for live. But sometimes it's nice just to quickly open up something with some really, really nice patches. So for this blank session, what I did when I first opened it was create a template from it. Then I can use that template to create more Logic sessions in the future. So now that I have this blank session currently open, I'm going to go to File, Save as Template, and I'm just going to hit Save. All right, so now, for example, if this isn't open, I can go to File, New from Template. On the left side, jump down here to My Templates, and boom, Producer Essentials is sitting there and it's ready to go. So I don't necessarily have to keep opening up this blank session or duplicate it and create like extra ones and rename them and stuff like that. All right, that makes sense, right? Now let's check the mix session really quick. This session is the same thing as the blank session, but it has all the content in here. So basically, if you want to hear what the template sounds like, see like what to do, ideas on what to do with the different tracks, you would come here and check it out. Yeah, it's a lot going on there. It's really dope though. So for big worship drums, let's take a look in here. We got all the tracks. The MIDI programming is done actually up here at the folder level. So since I have the folder selected, but all the control of it is down in here. You got the kick, everything separate, room mics, extra processing, and of course down in here you can do your automation as well. All right, underneath that we have our E drums and perk stack. These are basically, all of our percussion stuff. Once again, the MIDI programming is done at the folder level here. And it's all, you got everything split up so you can automate, turn stuff up and down, whatever you need to do. All right, then we have our perk stack here. We did the programming in like separate tracks. It's not just done here at the top folder level. Here's a sample of a metal shaker that's being looped in there. Here's another audio loop file that's being put in there. We got our noise sweep here. We got some rim shots here. So as you can see here, this is a mixture of audio and MIDI files. And once you use the blank session, the audio files are empty. But, the EQs and plugins are here. So that way you could drop your own samples in and use it. So now we got these three. All right, cool. Bass stack. This is simply a track setting for like live electric bass. And as you can see, we got the regular bass channel here. We got the bass amp. You can open up the plugin and tweak stuff, so on and so forth. Then we have parallel processing, some overdrive bass here on the side. Yep, and then it's being output through the track stack. All right, underneath that, we have our synth bass stack, which is a combination of 3 different types of bass sounds. These are MIDI, so you can just go ahead and start recording in these right away. Kind of a nice aggressive synth bass. Then we have a synth bass ARP to add that kind of movement and color into the ear. Sub bass. What I do sometimes is I just record my MIDI in the track stack and just hit all these at the same time. I'll probably do a little more of that, a little less of that. You know, whatever floats your boat. So we got all these guys now. All right, next we got the piano stack here. We have our worship piano, another upright, and those two are both combined. It's going to an effects bus as well as some extra processing on the piano out. So you can track them separately if you wanted the pianos to be doing different things, or be like me and just record into the actual stack channel. So just these ones now. All right, just a reminder, guys, you can access all the patches from Producer Essentials from the patch library here. These are the ones that we installed or that we placed into the patches folder at the beginning of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it now. And they are located in user patches under Producer Essentials. For example, we have the worship piano here. All right, let's change this one to plucked. Hey, options are good, right? All right, next we have our pad stack. So here we have an actual audio track that we've optimized for dropping your ambient pads in. We have a ton of ambient pads at That Worship Sound. Just go and check those out. Search for ambient pads. We got lots. You can drag and drop into sessions like this. We also have our different pads. They sound really nice. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I record just on the stack channel here. That is the power of Producer Essentials. I mean, just that stack by itself, just playing on all the sounds at the same time, it just sounds incredible, right? Jump into the vocal stack. We don't have any vocals recorded for this demo because it was an instrumental, right? But if you have vocals, you would go ahead and record them right here on the vocal chain. I'll switch over here. And then, of course, you have delay, reverbs, different sends like that. And the sends are at 0, so you can kind of mix in your effects with the faders, and your dry signal is always here. And underneath vocal stack, we got our acoustic guitar stack. These are not MIDI guitars. These are actual acoustic guitars. So these are just audio channels that have the settings set up for you to record your own acoustic. I personally don't play guitar, so if I don't have acoustic files to work with from someone else, I might drag and drop some acoustic samples in here. You got the reverb down here at the bottom too. Then we have our electric guitar stack. This is not MIDI either. This is all audio. So these are those audio tracks. They have settings, tuners, different effects built in as well. And then down here at the bottom, we have our amps. We have a Fender simulation on the left and a Vox amp simulation on the right. Perfect for recording your guitars into. I don't play guitar, but yeah, we have those options. Now down here are some of our best sounds. We have our synth stack, which is almost the same thing as you can see recorded. So you can record separate things here or just do stuff up in the top stack. That's what it sounds like. Mixture of bells and synths. Sounds really nice. For lines or for chords. Yep, we got all that goodness with some effects as well. Down at the bottom here is our last stack of ARPs. And you could totally program that individually as we're doing here or do it in the stack. Yeah. So that's basically how this template is set up. So this should kind of show you how the different sounds work and what they sound like and give you ideas to do your own stuff over in the blank session. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm not going to save it, of course. Let me open up this master one really quick. This is a super useful template for getting your mastering done. Let's say you produce your song in the mix template. You got it sounding real nice. You do a bounce, export that WAV file, and then you can drop it in here. So basically, you have an audio track, you put your file in it, and then you make sure that it's routed over here to the master, which is the default. And then the cool thing is we have a nice little collection of plugins here that are great just for, you know, some basic getting started spots. Definitely open up these plugins, play around with them a little bit, learn what they do, because every song is going to sound different and it's going to need different settings. This is just kind of a starting space for you to experiment. Another cool plugin is this one here, Mastering Assistant. So to add that, you just click on it down here. This is something that's super new. It was added recently to Logic, super recently actually. And it's almost, I mean, you could read about it, so I'm not going to talk about it. I'll just let you hear what it sounds like. I'm going to turn off all the other plugins and just let you hear what this thing sounds like. So before, then I'm going to turn it on. Yeah, this thing is pretty crazy. It's pretty new as well. It kind of reminds me of Ozone and something like simplified Ozone almost. So yeah, this is a really cool plugin. You could also use this in the mix or your blank session as well. If you just want to throw this on there, let it analyze the audio, and just tweak some of the settings to your liking, boom, you're ready to go. All right. So that kind of just explains kind of what this is, what it does, how it sounds. Now, what I'm going to do is open up a demo song I was working on, and I basically just used the blank session as my template. Let me open it up. All right, guys, here's a song I made a couple months ago using Producer Essential Standard. It hasn't come out yet, so I'm just gonna kind of like play some little pieces of it just to hear what you can do. In this one, I'm using the synth bass stack here. These two guys, not the ARP. I'm using the piano stack. Down here, I'm using the pad stack, the ambient pad with some of the other sounds in here. Then I'm actually using the ARP stack with just this one muted, but I played everything on top on the actual stack channel. And then same thing for the synth stack. I just muted these ones I didn't want to hear and then recorded my stuff on the actual stack. I did acoustic guitars. These are just audio files up here. I did like a couple channels of acoustic because the song had that kind of feel. I used some drum loops, actually, some here, some of those here. Then I grabbed some shakers and tambourines here. I used the big worship drums for some cymbal work here. Yeah, so I didn't do too much like loop programming. I just wanted like some tam and shaker in the background of this one. So I'll just play some pieces of this real quick, so you can hear some different examples of what you can create in here. And lastly, this is in 6/8, yeah. Play something else. Yep, so that's kind of some sounds of how this one works, right? And now what I'm going to do really quick is open up a different one and just show you some pieces of that one too. All right, guys, here's another track I made using Producer Essential Standard. This one is just, I'm using a lot of the similar stuff like before. All the drums are MIDI, and I'm using the E-drums and perk stack for my loop sounds. Let's hear some pieces of it. that has kind of just been a walkthrough tutorial, just exploration of what Producer Essential Standard has to offer. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it to the end, congrats to you. You get a gold star. Make sure you check out thatworshipsound.com for more resources for musicians and producers. We have a ton of stuff on there. It's all super high quality. And of course, if you need help with anything, jump over to our support page, which is support.thatworshipsound.com. If you need help with anything else. Otherwise, thatworshipsound.com is the place to go to get your sounds, take your productions, take your live playing to the next level. We'll see you soon.